So hi, well, on the Good Noise Podcast here with Dakota from Worth the Wait. We're gonna ask him some questions today. I'm gonna start. So, what inspired the creation of the band, and what does the band name mean?
I always wanted to play music ever since I was a kid. Like when I was younger, it's a really weird transition how I got into like metal music because it started with like Slipknot, but somehow turned into the Used. But
That's usually how it
but
goes.
it's like you hear like Duality one time, and then you're like, wait, this exists, and then you hear like other shit like along the way. Excuse my language. Am I allowed to
Yeah, you're
use
good.
profanity?
Yeah, you can use the profanity.
Making sure. Um, but yeah, so uh, I would like scream to songs in my bedroom, and yeah, my parents hated it. So they bought me a keyboard. They're like, learn some piano songs. So I got into Beethoven, for a while. Some other classical artists, and it wasn't doing it. I like the elements in the songs, but like overall, like that's not what I wanted to do. And so I tried to like make a bunch of bands growing up when I was like 9, 10, 11, 12. Like in school with your friends, your buddy's got a guitar, and he can play like Smoke on the Water. And you're
Like, that's good enough for me.
Exactly.
Right.
You build a band on this.
he can do the thing, and he's got that amp. Like that's what we need. I grew up poor, so if anybody had anything that was great, I would come along my stuff like secondhand. Like I see something at a yard sale and I'm like, let's get it.
Mhm.
And then my dad bought me a guitar, like this weird Randy Rhoads guitar. Like it was a Triumph, which is a classic guitar brand with like the hollow bodies, but this was a V, and it's weird. I could never find it online, and the guy was like, "It's Randy Rhoads guitar." Anyway, so time passes, and I'm with my friend, and we like the same kind of music. He moves in with me. I was like 15 at the time. I had to convince my mom to let him stay with us and all that, and so we're like talking and stuff, and we tried starting a band, and it was called If All Else Fails, and because that's what we wanted to do ultimately, was like something with music, and because we were just obsessed with it, the scene, like Warped Tour, all that, and then some things happened, and it didn't work out. We'd be like, let's write a song because we need to. And I was like band dad, but I was the youngest member, so it didn't make any sense. And we'd end up just getting high, at band practice is what we'd call it, and nothing would ever come of anything. And so we're like, okay, something needs to change. And we were at a live fest in like 2010, 2011. No, it was 2010. Yeah, because we went to Warped Tour together in '09. And then we're like, yo, we should start a band. And he's like, what do you want to call it? I'm like, Worth the Wait. We put like so much time and energy into it already. We had our MySpace page, we had our layout. And I'm like, we should really do this. We got all these fans waiting for these songs that don't happen, but we were kids. And we took a little poll and asked people because it was going to be worth the waiting, to give them something. Like if all else fails, so I guess it was worth the wait. Like it was just it rolled off the tongue better, just worth the wait.
Yeah.
It was just easy to say, easy on the mouth, but then a lot of people go, what the what? And I'm like, worth the wait. It's easy. There's a lot of verb the noun bands at the time. So like if you know what I mean, there's like bless the fall, escape the fate.
Yeah.
Verb the noun. Yeah. It's just worth the wait. Yeah.
I wound up listening.
That's how it started, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought up like MySpace, because I went through and like listened to your entire discography and stumbled across the 2012 EP, and I was like, oh my god, this is like pinnacle. You'd find this on like the depths of MySpace at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. We recorded our first demo with Landon Tours from the Plot and You, and in Findlay, Ohio, $130. I think it took us 6 hours, and it was so bad. Like, we went in there with an idea, and we're like, fuck yeah, dude, this is gonna be sick, you know?
Yeah.
And we were kids. And like, you know, I think I literally was wearing like an Attack shirt. I was just in there. I'm like, dude, this is it right here. And he knew the guys in Attack because they all like grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Like,
like,
I'm
so
gonna make
we're like,
Sick
yeah,
Sickly
man.
too.
I'm like, right. And I'm like, well, how's the song sound to you? He's like, sounds like Escape the Fate. And I'm like, hey, it's kind of what I was going for, but it was a mess, man.
Oh.
Like there were things that didn't make it in that were supposed to, hey, throw this in there. Like when the vocals come in, there's no cymbals. There's supposed to be cymbals. So when we re-recorded it, which is what you heard on our first EP, on the Diary of Willie James, it was originally called On the Fifth Day because we wrote it and recorded it within 5 days, like and had it mixed and mastered. And that's what we got. It was so I just called it On the Fifth Day,
Yeah.
you know. And there's some crazy singing in it. I was a big fan of Craig Owens at the time, you know, and like shit like that. And I'm like, I want to have like the highest singing voice, like no balls, but I want to be able to like scream a lot of shit, you know, and eventually work on my lows and just like, you know, just be that versatile. And it just wasn't the mood, like at all. Like, I don't know why I did that. And you know, like Chiodos was just so good, and then Drugs happened like recently after, and at that moment in time, and it was just like, I don't know, and I was inspired by it. And I'm like, it was so hard to write singing to it. Our guitarist was a big fan of Motley Crue. Like he had like a "Kickstart My Heart" tattoo on his arm, and like that was his favorite band. And like, so if you listen to that song, there's a lot of like influence from like that just 80s metal, like hair metal, like, and it changed throughout the times because we had a different guitarist on every single song on that EP. Like,
What?
yeah, like, and we re-recorded songs on the EP. The first, well, Diary of Willie James was the first one that we had, and our ex-guitarist originally wrote it. Well, one of them. They're all ex-guitarists now. And then we had our bassist slash guitarist at the time come in and re-record it for the EP. We recorded at Capitol House Studios in Columbus with Nick Ingram, and yeah, he tracked the guitars for that, and they changed the solo up a little bit, made it funner, more vibey, not just shredding. And then the song after that, we had a different guitarist, and he was like a big fan of like black metal. Well, not black metal, but like grindcore type stuff like that. And so like that was Realize, All Real Monsters. And I actually wrote that song lyrically for my wife now, my girlfriend at the time, as like a birthday present. And like, yeah. And but if you listen to that song, people compared it to an Blood Runs Black song. They're like, oh, this is from that. And I'm like, dude, we wrote this at the studio. I don't know. And like, I don't listen to that shit. Like, I'm not a fan of that band. I don't know anything about their shit. I like doing the song. It was a fun song. It was fun to play live, but it was kind of like on a weird, heavy ballad side. I mean, it gave me like the Devil Wears Prada vibes, but whatever. And then the Second Amendment Ain't About Duck Hunting. We recorded that with Kevin Langford and Sod Ahmed in Columbus, Ohio. And Kevin wrote a lot of the guitar parts because what we showed up with was just like generic riffs. It was just like, you know, I like it when somebody changes my shit and makes it sound better. Like if I don't know it sounds bad, then I'm gonna be like, please. And yeah, and then so he co-wrote that song, I would say, but we kept a lot of main riffs and a lot of the breakdowns. The breakdown at the end we wrote, and everything's good. And same with the bridge and the verse, and even a lot of the chorus. He added the lead though, and that made it really cool. And then Scotty Does the Blow, we wrote with Sode in his studio in Columbus at a different time. He's from the Crimson Armada. I don't know if you remember that band or not.
Gloria, you're gonna want to move your mic closer. Skype is.
Skype. It sounds familiar to me. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, he had another project after the Crimson Armada come out called The Holy Guile, and it was just like balls to the walls, like heavy. They had songs called like Fap Fap and shit like that, and the album was called Fuck Shit Up, I think. It was just FSU, something like that.
Yeah.
And like it was really fun, like the music was. And I think that's what he was going for with it too. And he's written like indie stuff and like pop stuff even now. It's crazy. I haven't talked to him in a while though, but he helped a lot with Sky Does the Blow. If you listen to the intro of it, they did a song Levi Bent from Miss May I on their album Convictions, the Crimson Armada, and the intros are kind of similar. And if you listen to the verse, everybody's like, dude, that's definitely a Miss May I song because it sounds like Masters of a Dying Breed. And when I wrote the lyrics to it and the vocals, when I came in, it was just wah, like we all laughed so hard. There's actually like the audio somewhere on my computer in my emails of just us laughing at like, and we left it in the song at the end. And it's just like, I knew you were gonna do it. I knew you were gonna do it. But it was a fun time in the studio.
Yeah.
And then the last one, Your Mom's a Pawn Star. The song title came about in my kitchen late night on the phone. And just like, what are you doing? Watching Pawn Stars? Your mom's a pawn star. Like, just like, you know. And yeah. And so, yeah, we wrote a lot of that song. Like, we had a lot of that written when we went in. That was the one that we were planning to record. And then we completely Overture was another guitarist. He wrote that song straight up, like the whole thing. And there's a sick breakdown of that song that I'd love to reuse. The Arc, my other guitarist after that, who we have now, Joe, me and him wrote that in my living room. Yeah, he wrote all the guitar parts there, and he's written most of the guitar parts, almost all since then. Like, now we're at a point where we kind of like bounce back and forth, like ideas, and if I'm like, you should change this, change it, and then he changes it, and then I'm like, sounds better. Or I'll send like a changed version of like, and record it on my end, send it to him. I'm like, what about something like this? And then he'll perfect it and send it back to me because I don't play guitar, like, but I can make ideas happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little history lesson on all that.
Yeah.
Different guitarists. Yeah.
I just respect that you guys kept the EP on Spotify. Like, you didn't just take it down.
We just re-uploaded that last, right before we released Slander, when we decided to make a comeback. We're like, you know what, let's put up all the old jams, just so people have them. I even made art for Overture because that was never even online. And so, and what's crazy is when we did the re-upload, it kept all the previous plays from when it used to be on Spotify. And I'm like, that's cool. But yeah.
I just respect that you didn't like try to hide that part of the band because I love that stuff. But it's like, I don't want to go on MySpace to find it. So when it's on Spotify and I can go listen to like, in the nicest way possible, questionably good metalcore from the early 2000s. I'm all here for it.
Yeah. We questioned ourselves when we re-uploaded it. I was talking to Joe and I'm like, should we throw it up? Do we want people to know about this? And he's like, dude, give them something.
Give them.
I'm like,
someone's gonna like it.
So that's why we literally put, like, I think it says remembrance. It might say re-upload. I think it says something else. Re-release. That's what it says. And because I just wanted people to know that, like, we did not just write that.
That did not just come out yesterday.
Exactly.
I mean, if it did, like, so be it. I mean, that'd be pretty cool, but
yeah, I go on there. It's like, you guys have 12 songs. 3 of the songs are invisible. Like, you can see the titles and the art, but you can't click on anything. But I've managed to go in there and heart them anyway. And like, so whenever I go to my profile, it's like, you have 12 songs, and then and I'm like, how? Like, we have 2. Like, don't lie.
Exactly.
Like, and because I try to not to acknowledge those moments, but I just want to let people know like how far we've come in a way. And like it's been a long time coming. Like I try to explain to people like, oh, how long you been doing this? And when you say like 12 years and you're still nowhere, it's like, okay, maybe you should quit. Like
Oh.
it's like I quit 3 times now. Like I can't quit any
I've already quit 3 times.
Oh my god.
Third time's a charm. Fourth time, whatever
Right.
you're on.
So you're like Dennis Rodman in that movie Double Team, and he like kisses the skull. He's like, "Yeah, baby, third time's a charm." Loads, but yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so your most recent stuff, you just released a new single. Congrats on that, Blackwater. How do you feel about the response to it so far?
great. We got like 17,000 streams on that
As
song
you
already,
should. Yeah.
and like it's been up for like 2 days, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Holy shit!" And it's been great though. We made it on Spotify editorial playlist, which is like
Oh wow.
that's never happened to me. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
And, like,
big.
it's not common for a lot of people too. And so you can catch us on the New Blood playlist. We're on there.
Yeah.
And huh?
I just said yup. That was it. It was
Oh.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah. And but yeah, we're on the New Blood playlist. We're on a whole lot of like big ones, like Scene Daddy. I don't know if you guys follow them or not. They got like some fire memes though. Like their shit's hilarious. And we're on their playlists. Metalcore Legends. We're on like so many. Jesse Lee, I don't know if you guys know about him. He's like a popular TikToker, but we're on all his playlists. Well, the ones that are relevant to us. We're on the Young and Aspiring Union Core playlist, which that page is funny. They post a lot of like really nostalgic music videos. They're actually doing a premiere of ours here in like a day. They're supposed to at 2 p.m. today, but I don't know if it made it. But yeah, and like yeah, it's definitely getting a lot better response, I think, than even Slander that we released like 5 months ago. And that's really cool. We're pushing it as hard as we can though. Like we've invested in this a lot more than the last release. With the last release, we just wanted to see like, can we make a comeback? Do people still care?
Yeah.
And we got like a really good response from that. And we're like, you know what, maybe we should actually really put a lot into it. And like me and my guitarist, we produce and engineer everything ourselves in-house, like in my home, in his home. And so we don't go to any producers or any studios or audio engineers or anything. I do all the audio engineering here and producing. And so I've developed a lot of skills from the first release to the second. Like the last to now, like it's like night and day. I'll be listening to the songs in like my SoundCloud, and like where you can listen to like the true sound. It doesn't do anything to it. Now like Spotify and Apple Music and stuff, they have like a little mastering thing to make all the songs sound similar volumes, I guess you could say, but like it takes away a lot of elements in a way.
Yeah.
But I'll be listening to it and like it'll just go from Blackwater to Slander, and I'm like needing to turn up my phone volume, and I'm just like, man, this song is just not as big as the second one, you know. But
Yeah.
I guess it just goes to show like how much like we've grown already in just like 4 or 5 months, just like working at it. Like, yeah.
All right.
Growth. That's good.
So what was your writing process like for this track?
It was long. I mean, it was quicker, I think, than Slander, but it was still definitely long. I told Joe, we talked, and I'm like, yo, you need to write a new song. You know, it's been a couple months. I wanna put out another song, and he agreed. And we're like, okay. And one day, a couple days go by, and then he sends me a track with some drums, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is really cool. And it was a little heavy, and I'm like, is this what you want to do right now? He's like, well, I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. And I'm like, okay, I feel the same. And then some time goes by, like another day or two, and then he sends me the basic drums with the guitar riff, the lead riff that you hear in the song. And the ding, you know, and I heard that, and I'm like, yes, everything about this, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
This is what we need to continue working on. And after that, We had like kind of conflicting schedules. He was working second shift, so he would get off work at like 11:30 at night, and that's usually when I go to bed. And he would be up until like 4 in the morning, and then wake up at 2:30 before work at 3. And
Oh my
you
God.
know, so we just didn't really have a lot of time to like communicate. And I'd be trying to get my messages into him by like 2:30 when he's getting up and getting ready for work and all that. And he's hitting me up at like during his work saying, hey, and I'd be like trying to call him while he's, working. And he doesn't work there anymore though. So things opened up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, but we bounced ideas back and forth. And I'm like, we're writing, and he's sending stuff to me, I'm sending stuff to him. And I was adding like synths and things like that into it. And I'm like, what if we put the lead in front of the lead for the verse, but made it a synth? Like took the guitar out, made it do the same thing, but with like a cool synth. And it sounded fantastic. And I'm like, fuck yes. And the song wrote itself in a really strange way. And that's never happened to us. It's usually us being super hypercritical of like every dumb note. It's like, should it go like na 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 na, or like na 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 na? Like there's nothing different, but like there's something there. And it's like, I should take that note out of there. It's just we're both like autistic when it comes to that. And it's just like every little critical thing we're zooming in, on the transients that are like this big to where the whole song is just dots on a wave, not even waveforms anymore, man. like people care about this. People care. They're going to hear it. They're going to hate it unless I cut just one little thing out. Then they're
a little millisecond right there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was when I was working on the mix, I rendered down the drums and everything. We bounced down all the drums, and I was mixing it, and I'm like, why does it sound so muddy? And there was like a flub after the drums because they weren't gated properly when I bounced them down. And I went in and cut off the tail of every kick in the entire song. That took me like 3.5 hours of just like pop, and then curve it. And like the writing process, all in all, we probably spent like a month on the song, like back and forth until it was finished, maybe longer. And it gets hard knowing when it's finished because like you're a perfectionist. It's just like, is it done? I think no. You'll walk away and come back, and then you're like, this sticks out to me, I don't like it, let's change it. Or like I'll spend like hours mixing it, and then I'll come back with fresh ears and be like, this sounds like trash, let's redo it. And I actually did that on this song. Thank God I did. But like, because I'll just keep turning knobs, panning things differently, and trying to get a different result when there's nothing else that can happen. Like, and then you just overdo it, and then it just sounds like garbage, and then you got to restart. And he told me, oh, it's fine, sounds great, sounds cool, should we post it? And I'm like, no. And it's just back and forth, a lot of it. But we finally got it, and I gave ourselves a deadline, and we pushed, and I'm like, it's gonna happen. Like after everything's recorded, there's only so much he can do on the track. I mean, he would come over and we would sit in front of the computer for hours, and like, just like, he would edit the drums and like, just cymbal placement, and like other things like, oh, there should be a crash right here and a china right here, a little splash. And it's like almost inaudible, but, we feel like those elements help, but this probably changes nothing. But yeah, that's kind of how the writing process for this went. Now, lyrically, we were like, actually the whole song really, we just wanted to write like a fun metalcore song. Like now you listen to like metalcore bands and it's like all like sad. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's sad times and like that, but like there's just not enough fun in it. Like you can't hear like the energy, like the positive vibes. And there's a couple lines in the song that are really dark, and some parts that sound really angry. But like overall, it's just got like an upbeat vibe to it, and it's just about getting fucked up, fucked up, and like we're just like, what could we do? We wanted it to be bouncy, we wanted it to be fun, we wanted it to be fast and hit hard. Just because everything coming out now is like just so down and dark. It's like Wage War, Architects, even Bring Me the Horizon. They inspired a lot of parts. Their new sound, and like I didn't even hear that till after most of the song was written. And I'm like, dude, that's sick. That means like whenever their shit comes out, like whenever it came out, I'm like, this is gonna be good for us. Like because we thought, okay, maybe people aren't gonna like our song because it's too out of way. And like when they brought that shit back, I was like so stoked, and I'm like, oh my god, thank God, like somebody's doing something cool about it, you know. And then I was like, man, we're gonna face backlash in some way. Someone's gonna be like, oh, you did that because Bring Me the Horizon did that. And I'm like, dude, the song was written before the album even came out, dude. We're just a small, like, I don't know what you want from me. But yeah, I have the timestamps. I have the dates on my computer when it was finished. Like,
oh my god, yeah. Before it even came out. Before it was even a thought. Yeah.
Bring Me the Horizon hacked your computer and was like, this is what we want the EP to sound like.
I mean, no, they had like Parasite Eve, and that had some inspiration in the new song. I mean, but then again, like so did like fucking Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse.
Okay,
like,
but that song's a banger. Say what you want about Falling in Reverse. That song is a banger.
Dude, that song is a banger, and I will like stand there all day, and I'm like, dude, that is their best song. Like, you can't. Like every new song that like comes out, and I'm like, okay, well that's their best song now. Okay, well that's their best song now. And like I've listened to Popular Monster I don't know how many fucking times, and I'm like, I'll put it on when I'm cleaning, and I'm just like into it, and I stop and just end up watching the video, and I'm like, it's a good song. And like, you know, it's crazy. I used to manage Falling in Reverse's social media before like it was even before Ronnie got out of prison. And like I was like 16. It was like it started when I was like 14, and I was on MySpace one night real late, and I see like this MySpace page commenting on people's profiles, and it's like in the name it's like From Behind These Walls, in parentheses, Ronnie Radke's new band. And then I'm like, this can't be real. You know, I was like a super fan, and like Dying Is the Latest Fashion was like my favorite album. And so I add them, and I don't message them. I made a MySpace layout for them that was like fucking sick. It was big as fuck. I even have a YouTube video like what it was gonna be like and all that. That was when like I leaked their first demo with Nick and Get Scared, and like I called it The Departure, and they ended up using that title in their Coming Home album, which was like so crazy. And I'm like, okay. And but yeah, all that happened, weird times. And I ended up talking to Nason for like 2-3 years, and I talked to Ronnie when he was in prison, when I was a kid, and like it was just like all this crazy shit. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna send you this box of letters, mail them all back to these people. Like, it's so nostalgic talking about it. Like it's almost like but yeah, it was crazy. And I remember when he ran the name Falling in Reverse by me, because there was a band called Behind These Walls, and they're like, yo, we have to change the name because this other band. And I was like off put by Falling in Reverse at first. And then I thought Falling Up by Shel Silverstein was like, okay, I see it. And like it stuck. It obviously worked, you know? And definitely worked for them. And shortly after Ronnie got out, Epitaph's like, yo, we need all the logins. Like, I made their Facebook and their Twitter. That's why, like, if you look at their shit, it says Fur Official. All of our stuff is WTW Official. Like, I was running both at the same time. And,
Okay, so you are the one that was, like, made the accounts and everything. And
interesting. And, like, right. And it was, like, a couple months ago. I was talking about it on Ronnie Radke's Twitch stream. And, like, somebody was saying something. And I was just like, yeah, how you been, whatever. And people were talking. They were just asking questions in the chat, and I responded to a couple people. And then he ended up like banning me. He's
Oh.
like, yeah, I'd like to talk. And I'm like, dude, you guest listed me at your show. Like, I was on your tour bus. Like, you told me don't drink a Mountain Dew, take your vitamins. I'm like,
And then he's like, "No, get off my stream."
Bro.
right.
He's an interesting man, honestly.
Definitely.
Right. What? Okay, go tell your mom. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
No worries. We like when we're interrupted by kids or pets. Either
Yeah.
one.
So,
Yeah, and like it was just wild. Like what happened was we had a falling out because I was up late one night drinking and shit. And I was like 16 or something, helping my cousin put up drywall at like 1 a.m. And I got a call from Nason, and he's like, "Yo, man, this is after he was out of the band." After they went to the studio, like he had like a drinking problem and it just wasn't gonna work. And Ronnie was like, "Yeah, sorry, things can't work." And then it was just Ronnie, Derek, and then they got that Mika Haruchi, that one bass player. He's in the video for Heard and their main one, "The Drug in Me Is You." Is that the name of the song?
oh yeah, that's the song.
Yeah, and and anyway, he called me and he's like, "Yo, man, do you have Ronnie's number?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, it'd be really cool if I get it. I just want to apologize to him and like, let him know like I didn't really mean like to be end anything on bad blood and all that." And I'm like, "Dude, you can't be lying to me right now." And so I naively gave him his number, and he called him, and I don't know what was said, but Ronnie texted me like, I don't know, like an hour later, and this is at like 2 a.m. now, but they were on like California time or Vegas time, wherever, and so that's like 3 hours before, so that's probably only like 11 midnight, and he's like, "Did you give Nason my number?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because I'm not gonna lie and be like, "No." And after that, that was it. That was the end of it.
Wow, that was a roller coaster.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn it. Like, I felt dumb. Like, I felt like I was played. Like, it sucked. Because, like, it's just like, that's somebody I looked up to a lot and shit like that. It was just crazy. But yeah.
All right, that is very interesting.
All right,
you can actually go on my Facebook. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I literally screenshot like statuses that I posted from their Facebook tagging me, like when I was looking for a guitarist for my own band, and like I made it my cover photo like 2 weeks ago, and people were like, "No way," and I'm like, "Yeah," it's just like people are like, "Dude, that's not true," and I'm like, "No." No, it was like that. Like I even made Ronnie's email, and my Yahoo email is still the backup email. Like it's dumb shit like that. Like it's wild.
Oh my god. All right.
Yeah.
Well.
And now
cool.
he fucking hates you. So.
No.
Well, he banned him from his stream, but granted, he bans everybody from his streams.
He does ban everybody from his stream.
Like I even subbed. Like it wasn't even like a thing. And I was just like,
you weren't trying to start shit. He was just like, "Fuck you."
No.
And I don't get that.
Like, I get like maybe some people don't like talking about their past and stuff like that. Maybe I was doing that, and I was like, oh yeah, because I was talking about Nason and shit like that. And I'm sure a lot of people there's a lot of hearsay about those situations, but like he could have just like fucking asked me a question. Like, like, dude, you like guest listed me to your show. Like, I designed a ton of shit for you guys and managed.
Ran their socials,
Yeah.
Like, I made their first logos and shit like that. I ran up a phone bill like $98 talking to Jackie in the UK. Like, it was just like crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "What's this phone bill all about?" And I'm like, I don't know.
I was talking to people, Mom. I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Important business stuff you wouldn't understand.
And like when they came out, there was a couple melodies and things that I heard like in Escape the Fate songs that were like Off This War Is Ours and stuff. And I was gonna say Red Alert, but they changed that to Good Girls Bad Guys. It sounds just like creeping my way out so you can see me. I'm crawling my way around 1,000 cities. I forget that song by Escape the Fate. I just remember that line and like the melody to it. And there's a lot of things that Ronnie wrote with that band and that they just kind of used on that album, but it just didn't work in my opinion.
Okay.
Like it just was a really weird fit. And like then he told me he wanted their MySpace layout to be like the anatomy of an airplane for falling in reverse. And then Escape the Fate had the whole Airways theme, and I'm like, you don't want to do that because they're doing the plane thing right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for 10 Miles Wide just came out, and like it's just crazy. But yeah, let's move on. Talking too much about that.
It's okay. So as you said, like back to your new song, Blackwater. This one should be like super, super fast. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this single in 3 words for new listeners.
Too fucked up.
Okay, that was quick.
That was really quick.
That's good.
So is this single leading up to anything new? What's in store for Worth the Wait?
There's new music coming. Okay. We're already writing new stuff and working on new stuff. We think we're not gonna do an EP or an album for a while. It's probably gonna be another single or two, and we were talking about doing like a hidden tapes type of EP about like old songs. We had so many songs recorded from before the arc and before the most recent single that like we've demoed out and did nothing with, because every time we get to work on it, we're like, you know what, this isn't even cool anymore. Like it just doesn't fit the era. Like it doesn't fit music. And like there's just so many things where we could do like the lost tapes and just have an EP of like all this nonsense. I think a couple bands have done it, but we want to make it good though, so we would probably re-record the songs and actually add vocals and things like that. But that's something that we're talking about right now. We don't plan on playing any shows. We're still talking about adding extra members because right now we're just a duo. Just 2 members on everything, and like it would be cool just to keep it that way. Like it just makes things easier all in all. Like you only have to compromise with one person, you know, if there's something that doesn't fit or make sense, you know, and like if you have an issue, it's not like but we agree on almost everything. Like there's nothing that we're just like arguing over, like, oh no, we should do this, no, we should do this. It's usually a pretty simple okay. And you know, as opposed to having 4 other people to go to and present them with something and nobody like
trying to win them all over,
like it, right? And then, you know, that like I don't believe it or not, there's cliques within bands, even like small bands locally, and like 2 members will like be like, you know, they'll be steadfast on everything that they do and they'll agree with each other on everything, and then another 2 members will be the same way, but then they disagree completely, and it's almost like political in a way. There would be like 2 parties and like you just can't come to a compromise, and that leaves a lot of room for just like shit talking, and like just like they'll go and hang out with a group of people and then they'll talk shit on like, you know, their own like band, things like that. It's even weird saying like the word band anymore. It almost sounds juvenile, you know, getting into it. I mean, we were trying to come up with another word for it, like collective, you know, like we're a metalcore collective.
You're trying to start the new wave. Yeah.
Right. And I said that to somebody and they didn't understand what I was saying. And I'm just like, I'm in a band.
Yeah. You had to break
that lame
it down for
thing
the
called a band.
Yeah. Right. You don't want to say that almost. Like, I mean, although like it's what's strange is like rap groups do it. Like they'll consider like themselves a band. And like I guess they're like more of like a band of people rather than an actual drum, bass, guitar deal. And which is completely fine, but when you say it for so long, you were saying the same thing 10 years ago. You're like, yeah, I'm in a band.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh yeah, what do you do? And I was like, I do everything. It's like, okay. Like, it's just not, it doesn't, you can't make it sound cool to people that are like, yeah, I don't talk to guys in bands, or like, just like things like that, just like weird shit. Like with dudes like, oh fuck yeah, you guys do like covers? It's like, no,
we write our own shit. It's crazy.
Originals, actually.
Like, yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you guys frequent that bar, you guys play a lot of shows out there. It's like, no. I want to have a strong base before we start playing a lot of shows again, because like previously, before we disbanded, after Remembrance came out, we played like 200 shows, like something like that. Even played like Warped Tour and stuff, and like we played shows where we made like $11, like $10, $9, and it's like it fluctuates. But like I just remember one show where we made literally $11, and it just sticks out to me more than the others, because I'm like, okay, how do we divide this for gas money? You know, okay, you get $2, you get $3.
Yeah.
Who has the biggest car? Who's hauling the most gear? Okay, then you get the $5, and I guess I'll take this. This will get me to the corner, like, you know, like shit like that, and it just didn't work. And like we would put all the money mostly back into the band. That was our main thing. Like we treated it like a business that way. We didn't get paid until we had something to pay us. Yeah. So like we played a show and made $250, which has happened. That show was with like Mazda Flames back in the day when they had they just released GNF. It was before When We Don't Exist comes out, but they played GNF for the first time at that show. And it was really cool. And like we used that money to buy merch, you know, and other things that we had to just replenish. And but then we'd have shows where we made like $50, and one of the members is like, well, I need 30 for gas. And then I'm like, nobody needs 30 for gas, but okay, you know, like shit like that. It's just you didn't want to hear about it. It was like one of those things where like you're just like, I don't want to deal with this. Take it. Just go. Like there's no way, like regardless of what you're driving, gas was more expensive then. I will give it that. It was like up into the $3 and some change, but it wasn't like you know, like too insane, like $30. We were playing a show like 45 minutes from his house. Like it's not like it was that far away. I mean, you're talking like $1 a mile.
Yeah.
Like, it was just wild. But yeah, I mean, sometimes those things happen, but when you only have two people and you can come on like a cohesive agreement, like, you know, oh, we sold a tank top, $20, here's $10. Like, I'll keep 10, you take 10. We have nothing to buy. Everything's online. And, you know, it's just stuff like that. And we trust each other enough not to just dick each other over. I mean, it's easier to trust one other person that, you know, you're grown adults. You share the same emails for everything. You can go in and read the same thing that the other person read, you know?
Yeah.
And, yeah, as opposed to being teenagers that are like, yeah, let's go blaze, bro. And I need 30 for gas, by the way. So, totally. You know what it is, bro. Like, yeah. It's just wild, man. Crazy times. But yeah.
Well, you kind of mentioned it a little before. Sorry, I'm making you figure squeaking. But you guys did kind of take a break. You fell off the earth for a little bit. Why did you choose to do that, and what made you come back?
With that, it was a lot of things. When we wrote The Ark and released it, like, my firstborn was just born, and I wrote the song about him, actually. His name's Noah, so I just call it The Ark. I'm like, fuck it. And it's not religious at all. I'm not religious at all. It was just a cool name. And, like, with it though, like having children in general, there's a lot of responsibilities. It's not just like a walk in the park and like everything's great, you know. And at the time, like, you know, we were young and nobody wants to be like, oh, sorry, you know, I don't want to come over to your house while you're trying to deal with your kids and, you know, cook dinner and all that and hope that I can get enough energy out of you to write a song. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Joe felt about it. but it makes things difficult because it's like, yo, you want to meet up tonight? And I'm like, I can't. I just got off work. At that time, I was working nights, and like, so there just wasn't a lot of time to do it, just because of how many responsibilities you have and take on. So you're trying to balance like work and life when just entering adulthood on its own is just hard, and especially like having kids. And I'm not gonna say it's easy because it's definitely not. And so a couple years later, Joe had some personal issues happen in his life. That kind of, it wasn't even a few years later. I think it was only a year, and he had like a lot of hard stuff to deal with, and all of that. And I wasn't gonna put anything on him to do anything because of that. There were some times where we got together and wrote some cool songs, and then my laptop crashed and burned up in my sleep, and we lost everything. All we had was like email demos that we had sent to each other previously, but like he was living with me at the time, and he stayed up all night like writing all the drums to this track, and it was awesome, and I never even got to hear it, and my laptop crashed, and we lost everything that we were working on. And we're like, you know what, let's take another break. And he was still dealing with a lot of the personal issues in his life, and I then had another son, my second, and so I'm like, you know what, it's not the right time. Let's just wait it out, let's just give it time and see what happens. And so some time passed, more time passed, and we went through time where we didn't talk for like 8 months or so, and like it was just we just needed time apart in a way. And then this year I lost my job due to COVID, and I was unemployed, so I had a lot of time on my hands, and his hours were cut, and he was taking some time off here and there, and I'm like, hey, do you want to do this? And he's like, well, I sent you that song 6 months ago, so yeah. And I'm like, okay. And, we took it and we re-recorded it. Man, the original version sounds so jank, but it's the exact same song. And yeah, and we re-recorded it. It sounded sick. I wrote the vocals, recorded the vocals in this room, in my bedroom, in my dining room, in his office, like everywhere. Like if I had an idea and like I was moving my computer around at the time, and I was just like throw a blanket over my head over my microphone and just scream some lines or sing something, and I'm like, yep, there we go. And that's how we did it. And then some nights I'm like, hey, I'm gonna come over to your house and record this verse. He's like, okay. And then we did that, and but yeah, the song came out pretty solid. That was Slander. And there's just no better time than now with the amount of time that we have on our hands. Like, my kids now are like 4 and 6, and they're not babies, so I don't need to make sure that they're not getting into anything and things like that. They have they play video games, it's not the same responsibility level, that's with it. Got a little better handle on things now. But yeah, that's kind of what put the pause on all of it. Just is a combination of just like me dealing with like fatherhood and him with like a lot of stuff going on like with his family and his life and things like that. But yeah.
Well, now you're back. So where do you see the band in the next 5 years?
Oh, 5 years. That's too far out. I could die by then. Like, right. I don't want to die either. But I've always had this weird thing where I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to live to be 18. So I didn't really plan anything past that. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to live to be like 20. And then I did. And I'm like, damn it, I didn't plan anything past this. And like, I don't know. It was weird. Like, I thought that way since I was a kid. And I don't know. It was just like, it just prevented me from planning for the future. Like, I don't know. I just was always like anxious and things like that. I always thought something was wrong. But now, in all good health that I don't have right now, I got really sick back in February. I don't know if anybody else did. But, my heart issues came back. My mental health is terrible. other than that, I see us doing pretty well if we continue the path that we're going on. Like, I plan to do a lot within just the next year. There's some things that hinder you from performing well, and you depend a lot on social media to get the word out about everything. But when social media is capping you for, whatsoever reason, you got 11,860 followers, you make a post, the reach is like 78. It's like, okay, why? And it's just like, it didn't used to be like that either, which is crazy. But also, there didn't used to be ads every 3 posts either.
Yeah.
And I know you have to boost your own posts if you want your own followers to see it.
Yeah.
Which, and I'm like, God damn it, Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
Fairly Odd Parents reference there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, but we see ourselves going pretty far. We don't plan on stopping at all. We're just going to continue because we don't want to waste this opportunity that we have right now, like at this moment. Because we got we're working with a lot of big people. We're talking with I'm not like big people, but they're a little higher up than we are, and we got a lot of people helping us out. We're talking with a lot of different agencies and companies and things. We haven't shopped anything to labels yet that I know of. But even with that, a part of me is kind of on the fence about it, because if we can do everything indie and keep it indie, then we owe nobody else nothing. And someone's like, oh, we'll give you an advance of this much money. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to pay myself to record my music? And, I might as well just hand it back to you.
Yeah.
I don't have to be in debt over that and then wait for stream sales to pay it off. I mean, people are that's going to take forever.
That'll take, you'll be dead by the time that you finally pay back that money with how Spotify's going, so.
Yeah, Spotify's 500 streams for 2 cents now or something. It's wow.
Yeah. Our new song, our previous release, Slander, just hit 110K. But last month we actually made $100 off of Spotify. That was what we just got. Yeah. And
Wow.
right.
Wow.
Because people ask, do you actually make a lot of money? And I'm like, not really, because the previous 2 months it was around 60. And but it's 3 months behind. It's not right there all the time. And so you got to wait for something. You're like, wait, when the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
What's going on? Okay, what were we doing then? Okay, let's keep doing that thing.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to think, and you're looking back, and you're like, nothing. I was doing nothing.
Spotify just paid me more. I don't know. They got a little confused.
Right, and it actually does go like that. There's a thing called Stream Share, and that's what Spotify uses. And when you sign up and have the artist Spotify for Artists account and everything, they explain it to you, and it goes based on how many people are listening to Spotify, in general. And then it goes on how many streams your song's getting. And then it goes on how many paid streams your songs are getting, which means people with Spotify accounts. And then it goes based on ad streams, which are people that don't have Spotify accounts. Those are that are, listening to ads and your music. And it goes based on the revenue they take in from that. And it's just all this bullshit. And I'm just just give me the money. I don't know.
Give me whatever you're fucking me over with.
Right. And nobody's buying music, and it's almost that's why we don't want to put out an EP in a way, or even in a full length, because nobody knows us. We're on such a small scale. We may have a lot of streams or whatever, but in the real world, if we go and book a show locally, even, which is our biggest demo, is nobody's gonna come out. I mean, especially during COVID season, the fuck, and it's just not worth it yet. And the craziest thing is we've made more money now from the previous release to this one than we have the entire time that we've had the band together. Yeah. And we've never been able to just go to a gas station, somebody likes a tank top, you happen to have 2 or 3 of them on you, you sell them, that's $40, and then the next day DistroKid tells you, oh, by the way, you made $100, and then we're like, okay, let's split it, and you just, yeah, Like it's like, oh, $60, whatever, however much it was, and it's just shit like that, $70, whatever, and just to have it, as opposed to like playing shows and then things got to go 5 ways, and then you got to tip the sound guy or whatever, and then you got to keep the money to go to a studio. Like we recorded everything with other people previously to this, and like that stuff's like $500 a day.
Yeah.
Like it's not cheap at all, and like that's why it helps to be able to do it here. So yeah.
Oh, all right. So for the last couple questions, we're going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
So
I talk a lot.
It's okay. So we're actually going to shift to death row. Okay, you're not going to boom? Okay.
Boom!
So, if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Make a boom.
Thank you.
I think I would... My last meal...
With the drink.
With a drink.
Yep.
Well, if I eat the sushi, I won't have to worry about, like, mercury poisoning or anything.
Exactly. It's your last meal.
Dying. Yeah. No, I would try to find... I'd probably be that asshole with, like, the most expensive thing I could find. Just to try to spend the state's money, Like,
exactly.
I'm like, what? Okay, if things are gonna kill me, then we're gonna make this shit fancy. I'm trying to think. It would be like something crazy. Like it'd be some sort of like French delicacy. Like I'd eat like a bird underneath a napkin, like,
yeah.
like insane. And like, I don't want to be like that guy that's like, I want mashed potatoes and corn on the cob. I'm like, dude, I got enough of that at home, man. Like, I don't need that now.
Yeah.
And like, I would just try to order like something absolutely bizarre. I'm like, I need like the 17th parakeet flown through the Atlantic on this day. And you better find that fucking bird, or like, I swear to God, dude, like it's going down.
I won't exactly.
And, yeah, I don't know, maybe just like that with like. Man,
a water.
A water.
Water.
Water. I just drink liquor, so I'll be feeling good when I die. Fucking. I'm trying to think of what liquor I would drink with that. Oh, man. Just trying to think of like some expensive for no reason liquor, and not like
expensive liquor.
Yeah, definitely. I would say nah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's really pricey. If I get tequila, there's got to be pricier tequila than Patron. Like, this is obvious.
You say like the most expensive tequila you can find.
Yeah, it'd probably be that with that bird.
Okay, yeah. Exactly, yeah. The 13th parakeet.
Yeah, it'd have to be with sriracha. I need my sriracha though.
Of course,
yeah. Freshly made sriracha.
Yeah. I need like people from China to come in. I mean, with the bird, with the rooster, because where's the sriracha come from? It comes from the rooster. That's why it's on the bottle.
Exactly.
It's got.
That's just how it works.
That's exactly how it works.
So
yeah, you just gotta squeeze that rooster real hard.
Exactly, it'll come out eventually.
Yep.
Yep.
So
there's that goddamn sriracha, that love sauce right there.
Good stuff.
If you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
One fictional world. Like, do you mean something that already exists?
Like a TV show, a comic book, a book, like Hunger Games, even though I don't think you would want to live there. Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, bread, pizza.
That's the entire series.
I heard and they just keep flashbacking to that damn scene. He's like,
exactly. We know the scene already.
Bread. And then he's like, I did. That was me.
That was definitely me.
He was a lot better in Future, man. I fucking love that show. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's hilarious.
Episode, yeah.
But man, watching the Hunger Games, not to get off topic, but like I thought they were just mispronouncing the names.
Like what names? Like
pizza. Like Peter. They're like Peter, and I'm thinking guy Peter.
Yeah.
Like
You just thought they were just messing it all up, yeah.
oh yeah, and I'm like, wait, no, it's just PETA, you know, like PETA Pit, like breaking bread.
That's his actual name.
Jesus, he broke bread. It was PETA.
Oh, I don't. Okay.
I just put that together. Oh my god. I don't know if that's on purpose or not, but
I don't know.
anyway, if I could live in a fictional world, man, I'd probably see. I don't know if I'd want to do it for like pleasure or like cause chaos. You know,
Yeah.
like if I could be in like the Truman Show, I would just like to fuck everything up. Like,
Yeah.
you know, obviously, like, but I watch a lot of like American Dad is like my shit. Like I've seen every episode like 10 times.
Yeah.
And like I'll be talking about it to my wife and I'll be like, oh my god, I remember that one time when Stan was like, and then she'd be like, Stan who? And then I'm like, Smith. And it's just like, who? And I'm like, American Dad. She's like, oh, I thought you were talking about these people like you know them.
Oh.
It's like, but yeah, fictional world, man, that's a tough question because I don't usually make big decisions like that.
It's only a week though. It's only a week. Yeah.
I could die in a week. I could die in a day. Like,
oh,
I go to like, you know, like, like it's immediately where my brain goes. It's like you're obviously gonna die. It's not the Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Because I'll die there. Like, it's not Family Guys like Spooner Street because too many people die there, but they come back. Like they got like a resurrection. Something.
That's fine.
New scene, you're right back. You know, nothing ever happens.
Exactly.
But it seems painful. Oh, I know, Bob's Burgers.
As you should. Yep.
Yeah. No, that seems fun. That seems easygoing. You know, that seems comfortable. There's nothing too crazy going on. Like, it's just like riding the vibe. You know, it's just out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers.
Good choice. All right.
Yeah. That'd be the world right there. Yeah.
Definitely.
The Bob's Burgers universe.
Yeah. So, I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to has said it's the most important question. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Wonderful. That's it. That's it.
That's the entire question.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wear a lot of black. Pretty much just everything is typically like that. But, like, I think, like, my favorite color would be blue, and I don't even use it very often.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
Blue's still a very good color.
Yeah, like, yeah, I don't know, it always has been in a way. Like, I liked the color red when I was a kid, but, like, it's like times have changed in a way. Like, I like blue. Yeah. And it's not for any weird reason or anything. It's just, like, something I grew to like. And, like, I don't know, I own nothing that's blue. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, I don't even have a blue shirt.
Wow.
I buy Oreos.
That has blue on it.
They got a blue wrapper. I'm looking at a lot of things around me right now, and like there's some blue on some things, but like it's like a coffee container or like you know, my mouse pad is blue, but it's like generic. It's just a mouse pad.
Yeah.
But yeah, blue. Yeah.
Good choice. Good choice.
Black like my soul, but you know what it is.
Yeah. So as Gloria said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Worth the Wait, new single, Blackwater, 2020, 11/27, COVID-19, out now. Linktree, Worth the Wait, linktr.ee/WTWOFFICIAL. That's the Linktree URL.
Wonderful.
I forgot to add the HTTPS.
It's
backslash. Yeah. www. Yeah. But we're filming a music video for the song. It's in the works. We have a lyric video for it already as well. You can check it all out. It's everywhere. I uploaded it to Facebook today. It's on YouTube. All of our music is anywhere where music can be streamed. It can be listened to, it can be heard. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it on iTunes. You can listen on Apple Music. We have merch at worththewait.threadless.com. It's kind of like a Printify, Shopify type deal, but they handle all the shipping and printing. Usually takes about a week or two to get to you. Everything's super cheap if you ask me, compared to like what other people charge. We got like face masks and stuff too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It says Dead Inside, so, which is lyric from Slander. So yeah, if you want to check it out, you can. I appreciate it. All the love. That's my plug. Yeah.
All right.
Solid.
Well, thank you for sitting down with us. This has been Dakota from Worth the Wait, and we're the Good Noise Podcast.